Hello, hackers, and welcome back to Global Hack Week, Open Source Week. By this point, hopefully, you've had a chance to explore some awesome challenges, and maybe you've even started your first contributions to open source, maybe gotten a couple PRs merged in, or explored some different repos out there. Whatever it is, we will always have awesome workshops lined up for you. We've got another one coming your way right now. Today, Kaya Amani from the Okta team is going to share more about some of Auth0's open source resources, give you a refresh on digital identity fundamentals, and walk you through getting Auth0 set up with some .NET templates. So let's welcome Kaya to the stage, and we will hand it on over.
Hello, 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 hackers. I'm happy to be here. I hope you're ready for a fun session. Today, we are going to do some code school, Identity 101, and our focus is going to be third-party identity providers. Now, there are a plethora to choose from. I happen to work for Auth0. And so today, that's what we're going to be using. So let's get started. Really happy to get started. First, let me formally introduce myself. My name is Kaya Imani, as I said earlier. I am a full stack, yes, you heard that correctly, full stack .NET developer based out of Atlanta. I work for Auth0 by Okta. And fun fact, I am a tech startup founder. That's what I moonlight as. And you can follow me on all things social at Black Girl CTO. So let's talk about what this session is going to be about today. First and foremost, we are going to do a slight recap of identity. I know that, or if you all were tuning in on Friday, you saw my colleague Will. He gave you a good review of identity fundamentals, or we'll just go ahead and recap that. Then we'll talk about rolling your own auth and why you may not want to go that direction. And then we'll talk about using identity provider or a third-party identity provider now. So the big thing is here, in order to understand why using an identity provider is great for you, we'll have to start by understanding how challenging rolling your own auth is. But first, let's talk about all things web applications. All right, so the key parts of a web application are functional navigation, right? So you need to be able to see which pages that are available to you, and functional routing. So you need to be able to navigate to those pages. When you click the buttons, it needs to be able to go to where you desire to go to your desired page. Optimal load speed is also very important because we're in 2024. Who's sitting around waiting for a page to load? So we need to make sure that that is optimized. And safe and secure login and log out. This is hugely important, guys, because for many reasons, but I'm gonna put a heavy emphasis on safe and secure. It seems like, who hasn't gone through the login and log out process on a web application or a website, right? Like, we've all done it. Web, mobile, any type of application. We've all logged in and logged out. It seems like a very small part of the overall application, but it is very, very, very important because a safe and secure login and log out process is going to keep your personal identifiable information safe. Now, we're not talking about just your name and address here, guys. I mean, name and address is important, but when you put a lot of information into these applications, right? We put our payment information, we put in our sometimes medical information into these applications, and we need to make sure that the only people that can access them are us. All right, so let's take a closer look. Okay, what the heck is identity? That is the question. Log in, log out, and access management equal identity. So we've used other terms in the industry. We call it auth. We have authentication and authorization. And those two together, Auth0 equal identity, authentication, log in, log out, access management, authorization, access management, and all those things together equal identity. Let's get a little bit deeper into authentication and authorization. So, when you go to a friend's house, right, and you ring the bell and they see you, they identify you. And depending on the trust you both have, you may let them access some of the rooms in your house. For example, like they might be able to access the dining room if you've invited them over for dinner, or or most of the time you'll allow people to access your bathroom because you might have to go to the restroom. It would be impolite, and you'd probably get kicked out if you started exploring other areas of the house, like maybe the bedroom if you weren't invited to do so. Authentication, or auth-in this scenario, is the process of your friend seeing you, recognizing you, and allowing you into their home. Authorization, or auth-z, is your friend telling you which spaces in their home that you have access to. Another way to think about this is if you, let's use a hotel for example. If you've ever checked into a hotel, you go in, you give them your ID, you either clerk your ID and your credit card, and that will be the authentication process. They check you in, they validate that you do indeed have a reservation, and they give you a key. And that in and of itself is authentication. And authorization in this scenario would be, what rooms do you have access to? So you will have access to your room. You will have access to the amenities. So you'll probably have access to the pool, the gym, common areas. And you probably won't have access to other people's rooms. That would be a security risk. And you also wouldn't have access to things like maybe the stock room. So this is the access management part of the puzzle here. Now, let's sound off in the chat. Where do you think log in and log out fit into the puzzle? Is it authentication or is it authorization? All right, I saw someone put in the chat that it is authentication, and you are correct. It absolutely is. Authentication, log in, log out, who am I? Authorization, what do I have access to? Now, today, we're going to kind of look under the hood and see more about how we implement this infamous login, logout, or authentication piece of the puzzle. But first, let's talk about rolling your own auth. All right. You know the put a finger down game, right? Put a finger down if you've ever tried to roll your own auth. And so you were building an application and you decided, okay, you needed to have users, right? And so users are able to log in, they're able to log out. But then you realize that you kind of entered into a rabbit hole. I'm going to put my finger down because this is a story. So picture this. You're creating your own application. You've identified that you need to have an identity piece, right? You think it's just as easy as just, building a form and, adding things to the database, making sure that you have a secure place to store your passwords, et cetera, right? But there's actually a lot more involved, let's kind of go through it, right? Okay, so you build a form because you have to, in general, when you log in to an application, you're going to have to enter in your username and password. So that's going to require a form. You are going to have an API in the back end that validates that information and goes through that authentication process. You'll need a user database to store those credentials. You're going to need to encrypt those passwords, which is no small feat. Then you're going to need to manage sessions and cookies. So that way, when a page is refreshed, your user doesn't get logged out. And you'll also, say your user logs in from another browser or window, they need to be able to continue their session. There are so many things to think about. Logout protocol. You don't want your user to be deleted when they log out, right? So you got to think about that. And then after you've done all of that and you've written all of that code, because we're developers, right? We like writing code. We think, oh, okay. All we're doing is, creating log in, log out. That's easy. But no, you have to maintain it. And maintenance is very good. So think about, you got GDPR. You've got all of these different protocols that you need to account for if you're writing a medical or an application that has to do with medical data. You have HIPAA that you need to account for. There are plenty of regulations that you need to account for, and they're ever evolving. And when you roll your own authentication and authorization is a little bit less challenging, but authentication, especially rolling your own, it becomes a real issue. It can. And it can take your entire life if you let it. Now, I prefer personally as a developer to focus on the meat and potatoes of my app. So if I'm say I'm writing a application for a point of sale, which is what my startup is. Say I'm writing a point of sale app for dispensaries. I want to be able to work on that business logic. I want to be able to address the problems that my customers and my potential users are going to have. I don't want to have to worry about like staying up to date on the latest identity protocols or the latest, whatever's going on with GDPR, et cetera, et cetera. So even prior to starting to work for Auth0, I used third-party IDPs whenever necessary because it just takes a lot of that weight off of my shoulders as a developer and puts it into the hands of people who are experts at this. Because I am not an identity expert. And chances are you are not either. But if you are, be my guest. Actually, I would encourage you strongly to just try it out. Try rolling your own authentication to see the massive undertaking that it is. And that way you'll be able to appreciate dealing with or working with third-party identity providers. So yes, roll your own off, very trash, very ghetto. Okay, so one thing that when you do roll your own off that you will have to consider is identity breaches. Now, I mean, you have to consider identity breaches regardless. I mean, this is 2024. The hackers are getting a little bit more advanced nowadays, right? Like you create security patches and you can be the most secure and they'll try to find a loophole. But it's definitely a lot more it's people who have like a vested interest in keeping your application or keeping their application safe, which is the third party IDP. When you use those third party tools, you get a side effect of that, right? So you having to constantly go back and secure and patch your application, you can offload that to someone whose bread and butter is to make sure that your applications are secure. Now, 79% of companies have experienced this. Don't let it be you. Now, look, chances are when you all graduate and go through and start working at your respective roles, you may end up in a company that experiences a identity breach or a data breach while you're there or has experienced it in the past. And I'm here to tell you, it's no fun. But what I will say is that when you have the added benefit of working with a third-party identity provider, then you're not alone in the fight to prevent these data breaches and identity breaches, and also, clean up crew after the fact, right? Use a third-party IDP. Minimize your risk to identity breaches. Significantly minimize your risk. There's no 100% foolproof method. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But like I said, when you work with a third-party identity provider, you significantly minimize the risk. Okay, so enough talking. Let's get into some code. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to get set up with a .NET application from scratch in minutes using our open source .NET templates. Now, since this is open source week, this is like perfect timing, right? So let's get started. And it's very easy to get started. First and foremost, you are going to go in to set up your Auth0 account. And let's throw that Auth0 or manage.auth0.com link into the chat here. So that way folks can go in and set up their accounts. And once you get that account set up, it'll bring us to the dashboard. And let me do like a really quick overview of the dashboard here. Oh, hold on one moment. Okay. Let's get that link in the chat so you guys can go on ahead and set up your Auth0 account. And once you have done this, now I've already done this. So I'm already logged in and everything. But once you have done this, you will see the Auth0 dashboard, which is going to basically be your bread and butter. Now, if we were getting started from scratch, we would use one of these getting started or, quick start templates. So I'll walk you through this process because I'm not going to do this. I have another way that I'm going to show you all how to do this. It's going to be through the command line, which is going to be awesome. But I'm going to, because we have a little bit of time, I'm going to show you the process of creating your own application using the quick start. So let's say it's going to be a web app where end users are authenticating through your application. I am writing a full stack application, so I do have a backend, and I'm a .NET developer, so I'll be using ASP.NET Core MVC. And from there, let's just call this something different. Let's just call it my app. Why not? It popped up on me. Okay. So from here, you can do one of two things. Now, if you have an existing application, you would do this, that you want to add Auth0 to, you would do this integrate with my app, right? This process that we'll kind of talk through. Also, you can download a sample app on GitHub and kind of get started that way. But what you'll do is you're going to need to configure the callback URLs, and you'll install dependencies that you'll need. So you'll have to install your ASP.NET Core authentication package and configure your SDK. So when you run this command, install package auth0.aspnetcore.authentication, that is going to install the SDK. And then you'll configure it. It's very quick, very simple, right? And then the last piece here is in your program.cs file, you'll make sure that you specify that you want to use authentication and use authorization. Use authorization is going to be there out of the box, but you're going to want to add this line of code here. But let me show you. Okay, let's kind of switch gears for a second, because what I have to show you all outside of this quick start, so we're not going to go through this quick start because I mean it's still very quick and simple, but I have something better. I have something better. Watch what's next. So we've got our Auth0 account set up. Okay, now we've got something called Auth0.net template. Now this is from 0 to hero in like minutes. You're gonna see me spin up from nothing a ASP.NET MVC web app already configured, and then we'll go through and we'll go back to our dashboard after we're done with this and do some more exploration. Let me get this link to you all so that way so you can follow along. Okay. The link that's about to be shared in the chat is a blog post that basically outlines all the steps that I'm about to take to go from 0 to hero in minutes. All right. So now we're starting from scratch here. We do not currently have these .NET templates installed. I have uninstalled them so I could take you guys through the entire process. But what I do want you all to do, because it makes it a little bit easier when you have the Auth0 CLI installed. So let me drop this link. I have the Auth0 CLI installed. The only thing you have to do if you don't have the Auth0 CLI installed is just manually configure your app settings.json file, but I'll go through this process with you. All right. So from your terminal, we're assuming that you all have .NET and .NET, the .NET CLI, and you have like the latest version of .NET. So let's get started. All right. So we're gonna go in with, let me make sure that my font is large enough. Okay. So we're gonna go in with .NET new install. I think it is, yeah, Auth0. Okay, so here you're gonna see all the templates that were just installed. We have templates for .NET MAUI apps, we have a template for ASP.NET Core Web API. The traditional ASP.NET Core web app, so that's using MVC and Razor Pages. We also have templates for the Blazor server applications, Blazor web apps, and also Blazor WebAssembly. And you can create any one of these types of applications with just a few lines from the lines, or a few commands from the command line. So let's go in and create a web app. Let's do MVC. So what I'll do is .NET new. And then that will be Auth0 web app. And we're going to call this MLH demo. Sorry, .NET new, not .new. Okay, so it's created, but this next step is to register it with Auth0. Now, this step only works if you have the Auth0 CLI installed. And I think that link was put in the chat. Oh, wait. Oh, there we go. Yep. Thanks. So this part works, yes, if you have the Auth0 CLI set up. So I'm going to run yes. So now we're registering this application. And let me show you how easy this is. Let me show you guys how easy this is. Let me pull back up my Auth0 dashboard here. So actually, I see that that is kind of small. Let me, okay. MLH demo, we just created it. And we're already configured, just like that. We got our callback URLs, we've got our logout URL, and we've got everything that we need to get started. Like, it was literally that simple, guys. May have taken 5 minutes. Now, let's pull up this application, okay? We're gonna open a new instance of Visual Studio, and then we're going to, that's not where I want to go. Okay, we just created MLH demo. All right, let's see what we created. All right. Well, I've got some app secrets in this app settings.json. Let me see. I mean, probably not a good idea to put these on screen here. I'll delete my client. I think my client ID should be fine, but We've already configured all of these settings in the app settings.json, right? That's all been done for us. We have, I don't want to save that. We already have an account controller with our necessary login, log out, and we even have a profile method. And let me look at our program.cs file here. We're all the way configured. We've got our domain and client ID, we've got our scope, and then we also have our tags to use authentication and authorization. 5 minutes. Yeah, it kind of blew my mind the first time I used this as well. Oh yeah, I see. Real time lesson. Yep, insecurity. We don't want to share our secrets on a live stream, guys. Just don't want to do it, regardless of whether it is a demo app or not. Okay, so let's run this thing and see how. Let's see where we get. Let's see like how much we have accomplished just by using the command line to create our application and using these .NET templates. Now, mind you, you don't have to use the command line. You can create the template from Visual Studio in like the GUI. So I might be able to show you guys that as well. Oh, let me pull over my window. All right. So when I click login, let's see what happens. Look at that. We're already set up. Now, I don't have any users in this particular application. And if I click continue with Google, which we're going to go through how to do this, it's very easy. I already have it set up on my tenant. But as a matter of fact, because we're doing this, I'm not even going to put this on the screen here, but because we are here, right? I'm going to take this off. Because I want to go through adding social logins. I want you guys to see how easy this is in real time. Oh, okay, let's go. I'm gonna turn it up here. I'm gonna turn up GitHub too. All right, let's try this again. Okay, so now we just have our regular login, email address, password. Like I said, we don't have any users set up here yet, but we could sign up and create one, but we're not going to do that right now. What we're going to do now is, because we have, it's Hack Week. We've got some challenges to go over, right? So we've created our Auth0 accounts. We have implemented login and log out in like 5 minutes with the .NET templates that are open source, by the way. Like, you can add to them. We haven't started our favorite Auth0 open source repo, but let's go in and I want to do something a little bit extra because it's not a part of the challenges, but I think it would be something that might be a little bit of extra credit. Let's go in to our dashboard and turn on social logins, right? And then we'll also work on customizing our login box because that's also a challenge. So let's go in and do that. All right. So all right, we're going to go into authentication, and then we're doing social connections. Let's just say I want to add another social connection, right? Actually, there are certain ones that I might need, like, let me go back. Because I'm going to just delete. I actually just added GitHub, and I know it's a pretty simple one to add. So let me just delete this one, and I'm going to re-add it so you guys can see the process. Okay. So say you guys want to add GitHub authentication to your site. We're gonna hit continue. I think I might need to scroll out a little bit so you guys can see and make it full screen. Okay, we don't need any of these to get started. We actually only need to be able to, like, we only need the basic profile. And I like to add read permissions for user and just hit create. Now, let me show you how simple it is to add GitHub authentication to the MLH demo we just created. That's how simple it is, guys. That's how simple it is. All right. And this automatically saves. So if we go back to our site, ta-da. I mean, the demos write themselves. I swear they do. So now we can continue with GitHub. And the reason I'm using GitHub is because our I can't use Google because of the way my company monitors, or not monitors, but sets up our Google. So I'm going to just go ahead and use GitHub to show. All right, so we're authorizing. And here we are. We now have conditional rendering on this piece of content right here. It's basically saying, I'll show you in the code, but it's basically saying if the user is authorized or is authenticated, I got a runaway mouse. Okay, let me put this back on. All right, let's go into views. Layout. All right, so it pulls from the user identity property or set of properties, and we're doing a conditional rendering of is authenticated. So if this user is authenticated, we're going to say, hi, user.identity.name. Like, and this is all built in. Like, this is a part of what came out of the box in the 5 minutes that it took to create this application. So real quick, all right, let's go back to our dashboard because we want to be able to customize our login box. Oh, but before I do that, let me also just add Google back to our application. So I took it away. And who doesn't want to be able to authenticate with Google? I just can't right now because I'm on my work computer. All right. So we're using a universal login. And we want to be able to make our login box pretty, right? Yeah, we want to be able to make our login box pretty. So to do that, we'll just go to branding, universal login. Let me make sure that the sizing is good here. All right. So branding, universal login, and we can change, like in the quick start, we can change our primary color and our page background, but we can also do a little bit more using these customization options. So I don't know about you guys, but I know there's like accessibility, and I know there's like, there are UI things that we need to be attentive to, but I like things to kind of match my personality, right? And my favorite color is purple. So I want to make this a purple, like I want to make purple kind of like my base colors. I want different shades of purple. And I like a nice, deep, dark purple. We'll make links purple too. And our primary button has to be purple. I'm gonna just copy and paste this hex code. And you see it happening in real time here. Like you can see the changes in real time. Let's make our widget. We can make our logo a little bit. No, let's make it. I actually like it a little bit bigger. And we can keep that way. Oh, and let's make our buttons round. Our inputs. Oh, our inputs are round. Okay, let's make our inputs regular and make our buttons kind of rounded. I like that. Save and publish. Now let's go back to our application that we created in 5 minutes. I can't, look, I am just as excited as I hope you guys are about creating that application so quickly. Let me find it. Oh, I have it. I think we need to give it a couple of seconds to update in the background. We haven't added any more code, guys. Just saying. And look at that. Would you look at that? Now I've got a purple button, and they're with rounded edges like I like. We adjusted the size of the logo, and all of that without having to touch a single line of code. I mean, does it really get easier? I don't think so. I don't think it does. And I'm happy to be able to share this with you guys. Okay. So let's get back to our slides. Audience window, full screen. Boom. Okay, now that was from 0 to hero in minutes. If you all are creating .NET applications, and we don't have any we don't have any templates for other languages at present, but if you are in this competition and you are writing or using ASP.NET, or you would like to, please go ahead and try it out. It's definitely a force multiplier. Let's kind of recap what we went through today and what we've learned. We did an intro to identity with more like a recap of what, we kind of already learned. We went through authentication versus authorization, and we have a real solid knowledge on what that is. We talked about how trash the whole roll your own auth process is and why we should try it so that we understand why we want to use third-party identity providers. And then we went through how easy it is to get started with using an identity provider like Auth0, and how it really takes a lot of the guesswork out of authentication and authorization. Now, I'm ready to open up for questions. What questions do you all have? Skitty says that was really easy. Designing a form like this takes a lot of time if done from scratch. Absolutely. That's very correct. Making it look the way that you want to make it look, like making sure that you have the right, even down to like making sure that you have the right warnings and like, what is it called? Like validation. That takes a lot of time and it's very easy. And you also have never used ASP.NET before. Hey, it's the first time for everything. I highly encourage folks to try it. I mean, a lot of people have been have shied away from .NET because folks tend to think that it's very Microsoft based, which it was in the past. .NET framework was pretty proprietary, but now there's .NET Core. And honestly, I would say, I mean, number one, I'm a fan, so I'm pretty biased, but I've used other languages too, and other object-oriented languages. And I would say like C# is pretty robust, and it's a really good language to get started with when you want to start going the object-oriented route. And the .NET ecosystem is no longer proprietary; it is open source. So, and yes, we do have SDKs for all the programming languages. I think we actually have a quick start guide. Let me pull that up here. Yeah, we've got React, Express, Flask, Django, Java. It's funny that there is not a .NET one on this page, but there's mobile languages as well. But if you want to do the, as a matter of fact, I don't even know if I would suggest going through the quick start with .NET. I would more so suggest just going with the templates. And hopefully we're going to get templates for these other languages soon. But I'm a huge fan of just getting started with the template because it's no work really on your end. .NET is like React for C#. I don't think I would say that. .NET is, because React is like a language. C# is like the React for, so .NET is kind of like the ecosystem, right? So you can have .NET applications, or it's like a runtime. It's a runtime. So what is, I mean, I guess maybe, I don't even know what the, I don't even know what the equivalent would be for JavaScript. I don't think there is one. But so say if you know Python, right? It's like, kind of like, right, like Node for JavaScript. There you go. There you go. That makes more sense. And so like there's Django and then there's Python. And I think it might be a similar kind of equivalency there. But yeah, kind of like you said, Node versus React. Yeah, give it a shot. I highly encourage you to give it a shot, especially for it, hackathon purposes and things like where you need to get spun up pretty quickly. I mean, this is an option, especially considering now that you all have these .NET templates at your disposal. Cool. If there are no other questions, I think this will be a great time to wrap it up, but I do have one other thing to share with you all, and it is Auth0 I'm sure since we are, in hackathon season here, you guys have heard of Hacktoberfest, where you go and contribute to open source projects and you get swag. Well, we have something that's actually sanctioned with Hacktoberfest. It's called Auth0, guys. And it is, I'm really excited about it. I mean, it's it's kind of low key since our first year really doing it, but I'm really excited about how it's going to turn out. And you can win this cool t-shirt. And it's limited edition. And all you have to do is sign up for Hacktoberfest, find an open source project, make at least 2 contributions, send us a confirmation, and claim your swag. And let me show you, we've got like some featured projects here. OpenFGA, Chef's Kiss. It's a very robust, fine-grained authorization platform. And that's actually the product area that I'm focused on currently. So it's changing the game for authorization. And we also have the jwt.io, jot.io UI. That's also an open source project that we are focused on. But there are plenty. The list goes on and on and on. And let me share that link in the chat. And that link should be coming to you guys pretty shortly. And I really do hope that you, when you all are done with Hack Week, you decide to join Auth0 and win this cool t-shirt, because I would like to see you all there. That's basically it for me. If there aren't any more questions, I guess we can go on to the next one.
Do we have any final questions for Kaya today before we wrap up? All right. Let's give Kaya a round of virtual applause then. Hope you all enjoyed this awesome workshop. If you have questions after the fact, check out some of the Auth0 resources that we have on the MLH website. If you're going to a hackathon soon, you might have the Auth0 prize category there, or you might just want to use it in your personal project, or just to try it out. Definitely encourage that. Also, tons of other awesome challenges going on throughout the week here, so you can engage with Auth0 more deeply if security is something that you've never explored before and want to learn more about it. If you have questions, you can also pop over to Discord, where we would be happy to answer those for you. Thanks for everyone tuning in. Give Kaya another wonderful round of applause again for an awesome workshop, and have a great rest of the week, these last few days of Global Hack Week Open Source Week. Thanks, everyone.
Sweet. Thank you. Bye, everybody. Happy hacking.